We got more red flags here than a demolition derby. I'm Dylan Hildreth. This is the Dylan Hildreth Show, and this is my reaction to the first edition of the college football playoff. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Really helps out the algorithm. Let's get this video pushed out far because this needs to be heard. So, for those that may not have heard for some odd reason, here is the top 25 according to the College Football Committee. Now, they got Tennessee at 1, which, okay, I'll give you that. I don't think they're that good, but I'll give them that. But the biggest red flags here are UCLA at 12. UCLA is better than Ole Miss and LSU and USC. And they just matched up terribly with Oregon and Autzen. Now, I think UCLA is the best team in the Pac 12. And I do believe that I think Oregon, they have greatly improved. And I think they should be ahead of UCLA right now. But to put UCLA behind LSU, who got blown out by Tennessee, no. Ole Miss, they got rocked, and they're at 11. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break with this SEC bias bullcrap. And then you see some ACC bias running wild. Syracuse, who lost to Notre Dame. Wake Forest, I believe they just got blown out. NC State. I mean, come on. And then they hold North Carolina back behind Penn State, who got blown out. Utah with 2 losses. K-State. I mean, what? And then they got Texas sitting there for some ungodly reason. I don't get it. I don't understand. Now, I can understand the Alabama being over TCU. The Big 12 is just bad. And I think the main reason why Texas is in there at, I believe, 25 is or 24, excuse me, is because they want to try to give TCU enough ammunition to jump Alabama. But I think it would all work out in the end anyway, because Alabama's going to have to face Georgia or Tennessee. But I just don't think TCU has the ammunition to get in as a Big 12 champ, because everybody in the Big 12 has been exposed left, right, and center. So now let's dive into maybe the biggest crime in this. Michigan below Clemson. Again, why are we assuming that the ACC is better quality than the Big Ten? And Michigan have dealt with their opponents as a great team should. Absolute domination. And quite frankly, they're the best team in the Big 12, the Big 10 right now. They're better than Ohio State. They have Ohio State above Georgia. Ohio State cannot run the ball. I had Ohio State at 4 because they cannot run the ball. They get absolutely dominated up front on the offensive line. I mean, they had 90 yards of rushing, whereas Michigan, against the very same team, had over 200. and I may be underbowling it. I don't understand. I don't understand where the committee's coming from. They said that they've put Ohio State over Georgia because Ohio State's offense is more explosive. But the Ohio State offense doesn't really do a great job of having a sustainable drive. One of the biggest reasons why they beat Iowa is because Iowa decided to play defense instead of punting it away on first down. I mean, is the committee watching these games? Or what's going on here? Obviously, most of this will get worked out. We'll get, for sure, a top 2. We'll get a definite number 1 for the playoff. Because it'll be the SEC champ, Big Ten champ, and then after that, it's a fight. Whoever isn't the SEC or Big Ten champ, they're not guaranteed. Clemson could very well go out and lose to Notre Dame and still win the ACC. Do you put a one-loss Clemson over a one-loss Tennessee? I don't think so. Their one loss would be against Georgia, who would be the number 1 team in the country should that happen. Do you put Alabama? And let's go code nuclear here. Georgia beats Tennessee. Alabama beats Georgia. There's your 3 SEC teams. And then the Big Ten champ. Because you cannot justify having a one-loss Clemson over a one-loss Georgia. You cannot justify having a one-loss TCU over, or even an undefeated TCU for that matter, over a one-loss SEC team. You just can't do it. There's not enough schedule there. And it's going to call for more teams to be in the playoff, which kind of isn't. I don't agree with having 12 teams that they're planning on having. 12 teams, because again, that waters down the regular season. The games this weekend, except for Alabama LSU for LSU purposes, there's not much on the line. There isn't. Because both Georgia and Tennessee would be in win, lose, or draw. Because odds are they're both going to have at least 11 wins. And even if they lost another, they're still in. Because they would go from, we'll say, I think Georgia wins by 2 scores. That drops Tennessee to 7-8. Lose again, 11, 12, 13. And then they win a game to end the season against Vandy. And the other rivals that are on the cusp, say USC, UCLA. I mean, you can still get in with 2 losses and really not beat anybody throughout the process, but still be considered a playoff contending team, and then you go into the playoff and get blown out. I mean, that's my biggest issue with the college football playoff expanding. We're just going to get more blowouts. The games are not going to get better. As I said, the way that I would do it is have a 4-team playoff, but do it after the bowl season. You're only adding one more game. There's incentive incentive to play the bowl game because you never know, and the regular season still matters because winning the conference matters to get into that bowl game to leave a lasting impression. That's the way I would do it. But my biggest red flag, UCLA, all the way down to, I believe, 13th, 12th. That's a massive red flag. They're better than Ole Miss, LSU, USC, and TCU, for that matter. But TCU's undefeated, so I'll give them that. And Michigan below Clemson. I don't understand where they're coming from with Clemson over Michigan. But they beat ranked teams. It's the ACC. If Michigan was in the ACC, they were doing the same exact thing they've been doing all year, blowing them out. Michigan's throttling North Carolina, Syracuse, Wake Forest, NC State by 2 scores. Clemson needed overtime to get by Wake Forest. Syracuse led late. I mean, and I know Ohio State, they would be dominant in the ACC. Let's stop acting like the ACC is good. For the love of God, please. They're not that good. I like Wake Forest because they do have an exciting offense, but still, they're not that good. They are all ACC good. They're not nationally good. The Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, well, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, they're nationally good. Tennessee gets a chance to prove it this weekend. I don't think they will, but they get a chance to prove it. Which I think they're SEC good, nationally good, I don't know. But as I said, we'll find out. And we'll find out the legitimacy of LSU. Because this is the most important game in Brian Kelly's tenure at LSU so far. It's always Alabama. It's always going to be Alabama. That is the measuring stick. And the problem is we have to see Jaden Daniels throw the ball. And we're going to have to see him throw the ball a lot and take advantage of Alabama's weakness, which is that secondary. If Jaden Daniels is on, LSU could very well win that game. Alabama could very well shoot themselves in the foot like they did against Tennessee and Texas. They haven't put a road game together. They're on the road. Historically, LSU doesn't play well at home against Alabama, at least over the last decade. But we'll find out. I really want LSU to win because I want LSU in the SEC title game, not Alabama, as a Georgia fan, because I really want to see that Georgia beat LSU for personal reasons. You know who you are. But nonetheless, at the end of it, I think Alabama wins it. I think it's going to be really close. But nonetheless, I am extremely disappointed in the College Football Committee with this particular ranking. Hopefully, it improves throughout the year, which usually it gets a little bit better. Now, Georgia and Tennessee. That is the big game everybody's talking about. And everybody's going nuts over because it's 1 versus 3 undefeated SEC teams this late in the year. Oh my goodness, and here's the reality. Tennessee's defense is an absolute liability. Yes, I know they went off against Kentucky, but you know who Kentucky doesn't have? Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington, Kenny McIntosh. They don't have those. All matchup nightmares. And that's what makes Georgia's offense probably the most dangerous offense out there. Because their team is built on, the offense is built on mismatches. Who's beating Brock Bowers or Darnell Washington for a jump ball? What linebacker is keeping up with Kenny McIntosh? None. Absolutely none. And Tennessee, yeah, they got Hendon Hooker. But they run that kind of spread finesse offense and kind of an air raid. Do they have the physicality to keep up to stay in it with Georgia? I don't think so. I think Tennessee keeps it close for about 3/4, and then Georgia lays the throttle down. Because Georgia's offense is built to break your will in the fourth quarter. Same as Michigan. Break your will in the fourth quarter. And that's one of the main reasons why I think we're going to see in the national title game Michigan, Georgia. And yes, I said Alabama was going to win the national title. I am wrong. I will admit it. And I've been wrong on a lot of things. Wow. I don't feel like making a video of that. My self-esteem doesn't need that hit. Anyway. Nonetheless. Michigan, Georgia, I think will be in the national title. By the time it's said and done, I think we're going to get another SEC team in there, whether it's Tennessee or Alabama. If it goes the way I think it does, it's going to be Georgia and Tennessee. And then on the other side, I'll get back to you on that because this is the last game that Clemson could conceivably lose in the ACC schedule. Although South Carolina is interesting. And then the ACC championship, I think it's going to be Clemson, North Carolina, by the way it's shaken out. So, who knows? But I do think we get 2 SEC teams in again. We'll get the winner of the Ohio State-Michigan game, which I think will be Michigan. And then, if TCU's got the juice, TCU could get in there. Sneak in at the 12th hour. Or the 11th hour. Nonetheless. But give me the Dogs. Give me the Tide in a close one. Dogs win by 2 scores, I believe. And it all depends on who's quarterback for Clemson. If it's DJ Uiagalelei, Notre Dame could very well pull off this upset. If it's Klubnik, look out. Because then Clemson becomes a national threat once again. So, depends on who the quarterback is for Clemson. If it's DJ, give me Notre Dame. If it's Klubnik, give me Clemson. And by the way, it sounds it's going to be DJ Uiagalelei. So, I guess Notre Dame wins. It pulls off the upset. And Marcus Freeman has a big win to pin his hat on for year 1. I'm Dylan Hildreth. This is the Dylan Hildreth Show. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.